Welcome back to the Monday Morning Monorail. This is M34D, and joining us once again is I'm going to say the first D in M34D. It's Landon, the Dawes Doan. Landon, welcome back to the monorail. I know that doesn't work out, like if you're trying to say Disney with the Dawes.
Yeah, I was going through the acronym. I don't know if it really works out, but since I guess in honor of what we're going to be previewing or reviewing or something like that, you may call me the Galactic Hero, Landon.
Hero, Landon Doan. I love it. Yeah. Little teaser, just giving you a little taste of where we're headed today. And we're going to fly there on the wings of Folded Airlines.
And the wings of love.
And the wings of love, yeah. So today, continuing our exploration of Magic Kingdom attractions that are either still with us or no longer still with us. This one's a little bit of both. We're going to be talking about an attraction in Tomorrowland that's gone through a lot of different flavors, if you will. And it started way back in 1972, so it wasn't an opening day attraction. But it has, in various formats, stood the test of time because, for the most part, at least the ride system is still intact, even if the scenes around it have changed pretty drastically. So, of course, we're going to be talking about If You Had Wings / Delta Dreamflight / Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin.
Yeah, it's gone through a couple iterations.
It has, yeah. We were talking about how the current Stitch footprint had gone through many personality changes through the years. This one is pretty close on the tails of having that record of having the most changes, but still an operating attraction.
And literally across the street from Stitch in Tomorrowland as well.
It's almost like, that there's always that business somewhere in your hometown that it just seems like no matter what they put there, it just doesn't stand the test.
It's a snake bit location.
Yeah, it feels like this. Yeah, this footage in Tomorrowland for whatever reason is a bit snake bit, and they just can't nail it. They just can't quite nail it. So
hate that for Disney.
Yeah, it hasn't really hurt them too much. I'm sure they're wiping their dollars.
Exactly, pulling $100 bills out of their pocket. Oh, dear Lord. Oh.
Right. So I'm going to start chronologically, and we'll start with If You Had Wings, but we're going to move kind of quickly through that because, of course, I never really experienced that, considering it was gone before I was even a glint in my father's eye.
Yep.
We're going to talk about Delta Dreamflight, which is interesting because for me, and I've gone back and watched videos since I was doing the research for this particular segment, and I have to say, maybe my memory gave it kind of a more golden presence or shined it up a bit than what it actually was.
Well, I do hear nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It really is, yeah. But still, if it were still standing today, I think I would always find time for it. But and then we're going to look to the present and talk about what it has become, which is the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, which is something that both Landon and I have experienced. And Landon, you're a big Toy Story guy, so I know it's in good hands with you kind of walking us through where it's at today.
Well, in theory, it's in good hands, but I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Yeah. I do want to say welcome back. You had a 2-week hiatus.
Yeah, after the big switcheroo skidoo while playing kazoos and hanging out with Babaloo. That was fun. Shout out to Dillo's Diz. Thanks for having us. Though I hate to say this, and I hate to bring it up because they are my godchildren. Mm-hmm. The state of the M34D, also Zoe is making an appearance after a long-awaited much as she breaks my computer. Awesome. There's a ton of chicken nugget crumbs. There's some what I'm assuming are chocolate stains all over the monorail, and it smells like Fortnite in here. Yeah. I have no idea what they did to my monorail in my absence, but that is a Christmas wish for this year. I'm hoping I can get a cleaning crew.
Well, the worst part is I don't think they saved you any chicken nuggets. So,
well, seriously, tell me about it. As a fat kid, if I'm seeing chicken nugget crumbs, I better at least be having me a 12-piece and not a single one. Can't even get a kid's meal going.
Just smells right, like that smell after you drive home with McDonald's in the car and it won't leave for a couple of days.
Nope.
Like in the monorail right now. It's not good. Yeah. So, all right, let's start way back in the original incarnation of this attraction, which was If You Had Wings. Now, this ride was sponsored by Eastern Airlines, and essentially, it was like a long Eastern Airlines commercial. I mean, they weren't going to dump $10 million into the ride without getting some kind of a return on their investment. So, obviously, it worked out well for them. We're all very familiar with Eastern Airlines today.
Clearly talking about Eastern Airlines all the time. I mean, right at the top of your flying wish list.
Hey, to tie it back, I'm pretty sure Eastern Airlines is featured in Ernest Saves Christmas.
Is it really?
I think that's the plane that Santa arrives on in Orlando is Eastern Airlines. So just FYI, they were getting a lot of plugs even back then when Ernest came out, but it didn't. Uh-oh. I think we may have lost Landon. He's frozen in my connection's unstable.
He's frozen.
Oh, coming back.
I saw your eyes move now.
Are we back?
Emotions.
It's coming back slowly. Hello. Save me, Ernest. Save me, Ernest.
Hello.
Santa Claus.
Hello. Okay.
I can hear you well, but your picture's frozen now.
Okay, well, I can hear you as well, but your picture has been frozen. How about now?
Yeah, you're still frozen, but that's okay. We can keep rolling as long as. So,
clearly the most marketable part of me is my voice. So,
well, you're frozen with a nice big smile on your face, so at least it's. Now you're back. Okay. So, as I said, Eastern Airlines is no longer with us. Unfortunately, Disney did their best, but you know what? There's only so much pixie dust in the world, right? So,
they're magical, not miracle workers. Come
exactly. On. But the way this ride was laid out, it was an Omnimover dark ride, which really you could call it the same today. It still is. And one of the main aspects of it was a lot of projection. I mean, you kind of went from scene to scene, and it was really just showing you projections of exotic locations that you could travel to, all of them serviced by Eastern Airlines, of course.
What are the chances?
Right? So, I mean, a thinly veiled advertisement for Eastern Airlines, although I think people still enjoyed it. It had a very catchy tune. I don't know if you've ever heard If You Had Wings, but it's one of my jams. I've got it on my hard drive. It was one of those that had kind of different flavors to it because it had kind of a Latin flavor, and they did it in a bunch of different kind of styles.
It sounds sexy.
Wings. Yeah, it's catchy. It would get stuck in your head. But again, at some point, Eastern pulled their sponsorship, which was in 1987. Actually, is when they pulled their sponsorship. And at that point, the ride changed its name to If You Could Fly. And the big problem there was that the theme song was gone, and people were like, "What the crap?" That was why I came to If You Had Wings, because it was kind of like if it's the ride itself didn't change so much. It was really just they changed the song, and then people were like, "You can't change. It's a small world. You can't."
Okay, yeah, that was literally the attraction I was thinking of. Like, that's crazy because I mean, outside of It's a Small World, is there another attraction that if they were to change the soundtrack with, you'd just be like, I'm out?
Yeah, Haunted Mansion or Pirates.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. I'm starting to see a pattern here. All right.
Well, they might. I mean, you can't put If You Had Wings on the level with those rides because it didn't have like any animatronics in it at all. It was really just projection. But
I mean, maybe we can put it on that level because people were talking about how upset they were that this song got removed.
Yeah. I would say musically it's on the level. Maybe not ride experience-wise, yeah.
Dang, I feel like I'm missing out at this point.
You can go see it. It's out there on YouTube. And you can find the soundtrack as well, which maybe is just as good because the videos, of course, they were recorded on those giant if you've ever seen these, you actually put like a giant VHS in these things. And
time out, my landlord's calling me.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Hello? Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Yeah, so even with Disney's backing, Eastern Airlines closed. I believe they filed bankruptcy in 1989. So it didn't last much longer. Maybe they were doomed after they decided to stop sponsoring these Disney attractions, and that's what really was the nail in the coffin.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
That's definitely what it was. They lost that magic Disney bump.
Yeah. So If You Could Fly was the name of the attraction from 87 to 89, and then it closed down permanently until the ride was reimagined when they got the Delta sponsorship to move in. And this is the ride that I remember. So Delta Dreamflight, for whatever reason, holds a very special place in my heart. I can specifically remember riding this ride with my dad, and I think it's because, I'm just going to say, I think I have a little something in common with Walt, because I am a fan of transportation systems. Like, why do I love the monorail so much? I'm not a person who hates flying. Like, I love flying. I love airplanes. I like cars. I'm excited about autonomous cars. I'd love to have one.
So you're excited about Cars. Do you prefer the original or the sequel?
Yeah, Ka-chow, the original.
Okay, all right.
I'm a big fan of the Hyperloop. I can't wait for that. And we all know I'm a huge fan of the gondolas. So basically what I'm saying is this one hit a sweet spot for me because, first of all, Delta Dreamflight introduced a new song, which I enjoyed. It had a new theme song, which I can still hear pretty clearly. It was a dark ride, which is one of my favorite things. It was about flying, and Delta happens to be my preferred airline, and it always really has been. So I've got some good memories flying with the family.
Yeah. Right there with you, a platinum frequent flyer right here.
Yeah.
What's up?
See, there you go.
Humble brag.
I've never reached platinum status. I am envious.
Well, it's okay, you plebe.
So when the Delta Dreamflight was open, they actually did remodel the attraction, and it went from being like all projection scenes to only mostly projection scenes.
Oh, to just mostly.
They introduced a few practical scenes. One of the things that sticks in my mind, and really the story in this one was more, instead of telling you about all the, well, they're definitely weaving in Delta can take you all these places, but it was really like the history of flying, and even into like looking into the future of what flying could be and the future of travel. But one of the scenes that always sticks out in my mind, two things. One is in the queue, there was like this rainbow light tunnel that you had to walk through. And I always thought that was really cool. I don't know. I'm a sucker for lights. What can I say? I am a child.
You like lights and you like things that go.
Yeah. There you go. I was pretty easy to please.
Big boy just to go vroom vroom.
Yeah. So anyway, then on the ride, the scene that I remember so vividly was you go into like a dark tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, there's a spotlight that's shining at you that has separate beams to make it look like it's almost like a light behind a fan that's turning, if you can imagine the kind of imagery I'm giving you. So it makes the beams kind of spin, and as you move into the tunnel, it almost gave you the effect like you might be kind of rotating.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't say anything to you, Bixby.
What's a Bixby?
Yeah, my personal assistant.
Oh, neat. Well, now somebody's humble bragging.
So I don't know. Like I said, I went back and watched YouTube videos in preparation for this M34D. And maybe this ride wasn't quite as amazing as I remember it in my mind, but I still think it's one of those that nostalgia would probably take me back to even today if it was still open. One of the things I remember about it was a two-seater dark ride, which you don't typically see. They try to make the dark rides like four-seaters at least, just so they can
get them in, get them out.
Get them in, get them out. But it was a two-seater kind of a ride. So, yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that really stood out to me. I can remember when you first go in there, there was a scene of a man standing on top of a biplane. This was a projection scene, and it was like a stunt plane, and it was, doing spirals and all kinds of things with this man just strapped to the top of it, just flying around. And that one stands out in my mind too. But it was, I don't know, I liked it, and I liked the Delta Dreamflight song. Again, I encourage you, go look up these videos, check out the songs. They'll get stuck in your head for hours. In 1996, very sadly, Delta pulled its sponsorship, and we were discussing this was really kind of right in line with their sponsorship of the Summer Olympics in 1996, which were in Atlanta, and that's Delta's hub. So probably just an allocation of funds thing at that point. So Delta pulled their sponsorship, so again, Disney changed the name of it to Disney's Take Flight, removed all references to Delta, and then that ride lasted 2 years until 1998. So I never rode it when it wasn't a Delta ride, so in those 2 years, I guess I didn't go back and ride it. One of the things that I thought was interesting before we move into present day was that apparently they were going to put the Delta Dreamflight ride in Disneyland. Yeah, so, basically they had a footprint in New Orleans Square that would have been perfect for it. It met the space requirements. But really, apparently the plan was scrapped for a lot of reasons, but one of them being they couldn't make a plan with Delta, and also they had some changes that were coming to Tomorrowland and Disneyland for Tomorrowland 2055, and they were going to be overhauling. So that footprint, I guess, wasn't going to exist anymore. Yeah. So anyway, it never made it over there, but the plans were that it would be going at some point. So that was the end of Delta Dreamflight. Sadly for me, RIP Delta Dreamflight. It'll always live in my heart. But when I think about you, it makes me want to fart.
It makes us want to part. Sing it right or pay the price.
Sorry. So jumping ahead to today, Landon, this is where I turn it over to you and say, tell us all about what we have today, which is a great ride, a very fun ride for the family, the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin.
Yes, the attraction has since morphed into, I guess, the precursor to Toy Story World, and because now we live in a world where Slinky Dog's Mad Dash or whatever is a must-see or must-do attraction. But before we got Slinky Dog, the only Toy Story attraction, at least the Walt Disney World aspect of it, was Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, which it still sticks with the dark ride, still sticks with the Omni Mover. It's one of those attractions, at least for me, getting on the ride is a little anxiety inducing because it's like, oh God, I gotta go, I gotta time it. 1, 2, 3, go.
But Landon,
okay, I'm on the ride now.
Moving at the same speed as your ride vehicle.
But it seems so much faster when you're trying to get yourself into said cart. But it's really not moving that fast. But they since changed the attraction into a shooting gallery, for the lack of a better term. I mean, they even have a scoring system, and let me break it down. If you score 0 to 1,000, you're a level 1 Star Cadet. 1,001 to 10,000, that's going to give you level 2 Space Scout. Scout is better than Cadet. Level 3, 10,001 to 100,000. Level 3, you're a Ranger First Class, which is kind of confusing if you're level 3, but you're first. Never mind. Level 4 is 100,001 to 300,000. That is a level 4. Level 4, planetary pilot. Level 5 is going to be 3,001 to 600,000. That is a level 5 space ace. Level 6 is 600,001 to 999,998. That is a level 6 cosmic commando. And if you somehow break 1,000,000 points, congratulations, you are a level 7 galactic hero.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually break 1,000,000 though. I think it tops out at 999,999. I think if you get max points, I think that's what it'll read.
That is a possibility because look, now that you mention it, it does say that the point score you have to hit is 999,999 plus.
Yeah.
So
Never. I know there's some secrets to it because there's certain targets that give you that like maximum points that are in there. I don't know what those are. I never hit them.
Yeah, no. I was just about to say, I'm curious if there's like some sort of like FAQ or a walkthrough that you see for games. Like if you want to try and get the Galactic Hero score, this is what you gotta go for.
There are.
No doubt.
I was just going to tell you that this last time we wrote it, and I think I posted, if you want to go look at the Monday Morning Monorail Instagram, you will see the score that I achieved versus the score that A. McKenna achieved the last time that we wrote it. She actually broke the 900,000 mark. I think I was like somewhere in the 300,000 range, but I totally blame that on the fact that she was steering, because you got a joystick and you get to drive that thing yourself. Like, you get to determine your angles. She kept putting me at the most awkward angles possible, so I couldn't hit anything. Just tearing it up.
Hey, it's all in the game, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't blame her for it. I mean, come on. You think I'm one to gloat when I get the high score on the games? No.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, no, absolutely
I never
not.
do that. See Toy Story Midway Mania. But yeah, I totally got ripped off. So.
Well, I hate to hear that for you, buddy. But at one point in the attraction, is photographed, and at one point, you have a picture sent to you via email, and if your score was in the top 100 of the day, it would denote in that picture where you landed during the day. I think that's kind of cool. But I mean, obviously, this is a Toy Story themed shooting gallery, and we were talking a little bit about this before we got into it. For whatever reason, and I guess because it's a very similar attraction to the Buzz Lightyear ride, the ride or attraction that I guess is most parallel or is a juxtaposition to this ride is going to be the MIB shooting gallery at Universal Studios. And I know this might be somewhat blasphemous on a Disney-themed podcast. I think I actually prefer the Universal version of the attraction. I know, yeah, sorry, shots fired. Come and get me, Disney dorks. But, like, part of the reason is, at least, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are 3D targets, quote-unquote, that you interact with throughout the Buzz Lightyear Space Run. On the flip side, the MIB attraction, it's mostly 3D monsters and models that you're shooting at and trying to take down. So it feels a little bit more meaty, for the lack of a better term, like because MIB, you're shooting at something that's actually there, as opposed to, hey, that's just a piece of plywood with Zurg's minions on it. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Toy Story honk, so I love all the Toy Story overlay. Yeah. But at the same time, like I said, doesn't feel as meaty as MIB does.
Yeah, I get that. Remember in Men in Black, there's the scene where they're testing out the recruits to see which one's going to be pushed through. And it's all these little 2D plywood things that pop up that they're shooting at. So, hey.
And that's actually how the attraction starts. You're going through just the training gallery, but then guess what? New York's under attack from aliens, and only we can save the president's daughters because we're bad dudes. So then we, go out into New York, and then we start fighting the, once again, more meaty targets.
I get that.
Apparently I'm hungry because I've said meaty like 3 times. By the way, this segment of the podcast is sponsored by Arby's.
They have the meat.
For sandwiches.
So a couple things I wanted to mention. The queue is still good. Even though you don't get the rainbow tunnel, you get to see a really cool Buzz Lightyear animatronic that's got the projection technology.
Right. Not voiced by Tim Allen. It is voiced by Pat Fraley, who apparently is the, park stand-in Buzz, because he has voiced Buzz at other attractions, but still not, the man, not Tim Allen.
He sounds pretty
Becky Lynch.
Yeah. He sounds pretty close. I think it's a pretty good impression.
See, it's pretty good, but when I was listening to a video for preparation for this segment, it's like, as soon as I heard that, it's like, okay, that is somebody doing a Tim Allen Buzz Lightyear impression. Yeah. Though I will say Zurg is voiced by Frank Welker. So, I mean, if you're a fan of good voice work, you have the legendary Frank Welker doing Zurg. So that's cool.
It's kind of funny that they couldn't get Tim Allen to do this voice, because what would that have taken, like maybe an hour of him recording in whatever local studio is nearest to him? It's not like he had to fly to Orlando or LA to do it,
It probably wouldn't have even taken an hour, if we're completely honest.
Super easy, because it's just on a loop. He's just, but anyway, regardless, it's a pretty cool animatronic when it's working. Sometimes it's a little glitchy, but
and I do dig the projection of the face. I think that is a very good aesthetic, sticking with the toy stuff.
One of the things, it doesn't photograph well. A lot of times those projections, animatronics, they look much better in person, which is actually, I guess, kind of a good thing, because you got to be there to really appreciate.
Exactly, yeah. Got to get the people inside the park.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to mention is that from the very beginning, even if as it started on the If You Had Wings layover, interesting, I chose that. But anyway, there are several places in that ride where if you are riding the People Mover, you can actually see into the ride, and that has remained throughout the years. So even when it was Delta Dreamflight, you could still do that. And today, if you ride the People Mover, you get to go by and look at the people who are very intently trying to get the high score on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. That's always one of my favorite parts of the People Mover, because those people, they're not looking for you at all.
No, not at all. Like,
Very focused on the targets.
And until I read that in preparation for this segment, it's like I had no idea, because like you said, it's like you're not paying attention to everything above you. You're paying attention to everything literally in front of you, because it probably has a target on it and you have to get that high score.
I'm way too much of a gamer to be focused on anything except scoring point. Yeah. And then the other thing I was going to say is this is one of the rides where I can never figure out where the camera is. So it always catches me by surprise. But that's a good thing, too, because then you can see the intensity on this face.
Yes. The last time I rode this ride, we ended up purchasing the picture of my crew going through this, and it was because both the person and I was riding this with, we're both very like white trigger tight, like looking very intently for these stupid little targets so we could, beat each other.
Shoot the Z's, yeah. So anyway, it's a fun ride, and I'm really glad that they've added this interactive element. And like you said, now when this ride was introduced in '98, I personally can't think of a lot of rides that were out there that had this interactive element to it. Now it's a little more common. You've got MIB, you've got Midway Mania over in the #AlwaysMGM Hollywood Studios. And so you have others that are like it, but and actually the very similar ride we're going to get in Galaxy's Edge when it opens, the First Order versus Resistance shooting game. So, and I'm sure that that's going to take a whole nother step in technology. And I have a feeling it's not just going to be all 2D plywood, but we'll see.
Maybe I hope not, but I do think you are going to be right that it's going to be the next step in evolution of this attraction from what we got back at the late '90s, turn of the century.
I'm hoping so, because they're going to have to make up for the fact that I'm pretty sold on the fact that I bet they're going to close Star Tours at some point. So
I don't think you're too far outside the realm of possibility on that one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like everybody likes Star Tours, but at the same time, if it's sitting next door to the $500 million Millennium Falcon attraction, be like, oh, this was fun and kitschy. And then you look at the Millennium Falcon, it's like, oh my God, like I'm crying like this was the Avatar ride.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it'll be outside the footprint, so it's going to feel odd to have Star Tours over to the side and Galaxy's Edge somewhere over here. So,
yeah.
So anyway, I hope they do make up for that by giving us very good experience on the Star Wars shooter.
We're finally going to be able to kill Jar Jar, everybody. That's what we're calling.
Landon, anything else you wanted to say about Buzz Lightyear?
To infinity and beyond, I suppose.
I like it. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you're back with us.
Merry Christmas, everybody, by the way.
This is our last 3-4D before Christmas, and actually it's going to be our last of the year, because next week we're going to do a little bit of a different thing with the show just for the New Year show. So, Landon, you've put in a lot of great work this year. You're not getting a raise. You're not getting a bonus. But
gosh darn it,
back here in January, right on this monorail.
Well, since I've been cursed with a strong work ethic, and my dog apparently, I will be right back here on said monorail bright and early in 2019.
Sounds good. And if
Twitter.com/Landoz, LANDOZ, please go follow me.
I was going to give you a chance. I was going to do your plugs and then do the Twitter thing. But yeah, check out Landon on Twitter. Do it.
LANDOZ, please go follow me, Landon Doan. I'm the best, Landon Doan, not the rest. Hey, I got another line this week. Give me like 4 months and I'm going to put together a song.
A full song.
And be sued promptly by Disney.
And you can also find Landon's other work on buttmunchchips.com, Game of Thrones Talk, or Got Talk, the podcast, as well as Near Fall Radio. So lots of great content out there. Go check Landon out. Landon, Merry Christmas. We'll see you in the new year.
Sounds good.